Cella's Neues Ratthaus, or New Town Hall, presents a rather handsome face to the world, neo-Gothic towers and ornate brickwork, a sprawling red brick barracks from the 19th century. Military might, civic order, a passerby on a sunny afternoon might think only of administrative duties. The quiet hum of local government. But buildings, you see, are rather like people. They have memories, and some memories are darker than others. The stones here have absorbed a history so chilling it seems to hold a permanent cold spot. Even on the warmest days, the air feels colder. The past refuses to stay buried. History is felt in the very air. This grand structure was not always a town hall. It began life in the 1870s as the Heidekaserne, a barracks for the Imperial German Army. Long corridors, countless rooms, built to house soldiers, echoes of marching boots, shouted commands, for decades a symbol of strength and discipline. But as the tides of history turned, so did the building's purpose. The spring of 1945 brought a strange and unsettling quiet to the town of Celle. The thunder of war had finally ceased. On the 12th of April, British forces liberated the town, and a collective sigh of relief rippled through its weary inhabitants. The Heidekaserne, the once feared Gestapo headquarters, now stood empty, a silent monument to a defeated regime. The British military took possession of the building, intending to use it as an administrative centre. Soldiers walked the same corridors where Nazi officers had strode just weeks before, but the silence they found there was not peaceful. It was heavy, oppressive, and thick with unspoken tragedies. Imagine being a young British officer, tasked with setting up a new command post in this cavernous building. The war is won, the mood should be triumphant. You walk through vast, empty rooms, your footsteps echoing. The place smells of dust, damp, and something else. Dust, damp, something acrid and metallic. The remnants of the former occupants are everywhere. A discarded document, a broken chair, a dark stain on the floor that your mind refuses to properly acknowledge. The silence is profound, watchful, intelligent, malevolent. The sun would set, and the character of the old barracks would transform entirely. During the day it was a place of work, of military bureaucracy. But as darkness draped itself over Celle, the Neues Ratthaus seemed to awaken. Soldiers on late-night duty began to report things that defied rational explanation. The most common phenomenon was the sound of disembodied footsteps. Not the heavy, rhythmic tread of a military patrol, but the frantic, hurried footsteps of someone running in terror. They would echo down an empty corridor, growing louder as if approaching, only to fade into nothing, just as the terrified sentry would raise his rifle, his heart pounding against his ribs. There was never anyone there. Then came the voices. Faint whispers seemed to bleed through the thick brick walls, speaking in a language the British soldiers could not understand. They were described not as conversations, but as desperate, pleading murmurs, or sometimes sharp, guttural commands. More than one man, alone in a vast office, reported hearing a sudden, agonized cry right beside him, causing him to leap from his chair in a cold sweat. The sounds were often traced to the vicinity of the cellars, a part of the building everyone avoided after dark. As the years passed, the stories did not fade. They crystallized into local legend, passed from the British occupiers to the German officials who took over the building. One of the most enduring tales is that of the weeping woman. Cleaners working late into the evening have claimed to hear heartbreaking sobs echoing from a small, windowless room in the basement. The sound is said to be filled with such profound grief it is unbearable. Some say it is the spirit of a mother. Her son was tortured and killed by the Gestapo, her spectral sorrow trapped within the place of his final moments. Another persistent story, the distinct smell of cigar smoke, not pleasant, a stale, acrid stench appearing in empty rooms and in corridors, then vanishing just as quickly. The tale links to a notorious Gestapo officer, a man known for cruelty and his habit of smoking cigars during brutal interrogations. A former town hall employee, Klaus, who worked there in the 1970s, recounted his experience. "I was locking up," he said, his voice hushed, "and the smell hit me, so strong. I turned, expecting someone. The hall was empty. Then I heard a man clear his throat right behind me. I ran. I did not even look back. The figure of a man in a long black leather coat is another cornerstone of the folklore. Seen as a fleeting shadow, a tall, dark shape glimpsed from the corner of the eye, standing at the far end of a corridor or at the top of a staircase. Among all the whispers and shadows that drift through the Neue Ratthaus, one presence is spoken of more than any other. It is a specific and malevolent energy. Many believe it is the residual consciousness of the Gestapo itself. This is not the ghost of a single individual, but the collective psychic imprint of institutionalized cruelty. It is the echo of arrogance, of absolute power, and of the detached, bureaucratic evil that was practiced in the building's darkest corners. People who have experienced this presence describe it not as seeing a figure, but as a sudden, overwhelming feeling of being judged, scrutinized, and condemned. It is an invasive and deeply unpleasant sensation, as if one's very thoughts are being sifted through by an unseen interrogator. This spirit of the Gestapo is said to manifest most strongly in the basement. Visitors on tours of the former cells often speak of a suffocating atmosphere that descends without warning. They report feeling dizzy, nauseous, and overcome by a sudden, irrational terror which compels them to flee back up the stairs. There is a tale told by a plumber who was called in to fix a leak in the basement in the early 2000s. He was working alone, surrounded by the damp chill of the underground rooms. Today, the Celler's Neues Ratthaus functions as a modern, efficient center of civic life. Its corridors are bright, its offices are busy, telephones ringing, keyboards clicking. The town of Celle has moved on as it must. It is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, a symbol of community and progress. A memorial plaque serves as a solemn official acknowledgement. But history is not so easily contained by plaques and ceremonies. It has a much more visceral, persistent way of making its presence known. The stories persist. Employees trade hushed stories over coffee. A new security guard has a tale after his first night shifts. A visitor feels a chill in the basement and asks, "What happened down there?" The building's dark past is inseparable from its identity. It is a place of dualities: democratic function, spectral terror, daytime bureaucracy, nocturnal dread. This duality makes it endlessly fascinating. It forces us to confront that the mundane rests on darker layers of history. The Neues Ratthaus stands as a powerful, unsettling reminder. Buildings are witnesses, silent observers of the best and worst of human behavior. They absorb our triumphs, our sorrows, our atrocities. The red bricks of this former barracks have soaked up profound trauma. They may never fully release it,